was a mess. Oh, hey guys, welcome back. I was just looking through some old family pictures and I was thinking, since you guys liked it so much the last time I reminisced about a Star Wars memory, I figured why not do that again today. The memory I've chosen to share with you today is the very first time I rode Star Tours. Now, first of all, some background. My family went to Disneyland probably a grand total of 3 times in my childhood, counting when I was a teenager. For one thing, we lived in the high desert, which was about 90 miles away from Anaheim, and in addition to the admission costs, which were always very, very high, there was also the gas and the food, and we hardly ever got any souvenirs. The first time we went to Disneyland as a family was for a family reunion back in November of 1989. My little brother was just a baby then, and I was only 3 years old, and my older sister was only 5. Back then, I watched my family go into this building that had the Star Wars font, and it said Star Wars, and someone said no, Star Tours, and I'm like, what's that? And I think one of my cousins, my older cousin, told me about it, and they mentioned something about going on flying on a spaceship, and I really wanted to go on that ride because I had just seen Star Wars probably only a couple months before and was already obsessed with it. Anytime I heard the Star Wars theme, I would get super excited, even though I didn't, I had no idea what the story was at that point, but still, I knew that I loved Star Wars. And I was so disappointed that I could not go on the ride with all the big kids. Fast forward to, I believe, the next year, which was, it was either next year or the year after, because I know we went for sure in 1991. On to Tomorrowland. We really enjoyed it. I was kind of scared to go on the really tall, TWA rocket ships that would orbit around. I was sort of afraid of heights back then, even though somebody talked me into going into the Skyway, which was a lot of fun. But we got to Tomorrowland, and I saw Star Tours and just about ran on, and I think I was wearing, those child harnesses, those leashes? I wore one of those because I had a bad habit of wandering off and getting lost. So I think it stopped me by the leash, and I was like, let's go in there! I was practically losing it, trying to get in there. But finally, my dad slowed me down, gave me a talk about running off and waiting for everybody else, and my dad was working it out. He's making sure my mom didn't want to go on. She's like, nope, that stuff doesn't interest me. So she stayed outside with my brother, and me and my dad and my sister went in. So we finally get into the building, and the line was winding around going up that ramp, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm immersed in Star Wars. There's a Starspeeder 3000, I can hear R2-D2 and C-3PO arguing with each other, and I can see a great big, screen to my right talking about Ewoks. Of course, at that point, I just love Ewoks. Ewoks were my life. I think I actually embarrassed my sister with how excited I was. I was jumping up and down and squealing practically the whole time we were in line. I almost cut the line and ran right to the front. I could not wait. It was the best thing ever. Being immersed in your favorite movie when you're like 5 years old, that was magic. That was before we even got up to the front of the line. We turned around a corner and see C-3PO and R2-D2, and I was jumping up and down and talking to R2. Trying to talk to R2 because I loved R2. R2 was one of my first favorite characters. And I'm like, R2, we're gonna see you, R2. Literally those words. I can still remember that. My dad may have been getting embarrassed. I don't remember at all. The whole time up there, I was talking to all the droids. Literally talking to all the droids and not understanding why they wouldn't talk back. I was asking if we'd see Darth Vader, asking if we'd see Luke Skywalker. I knew nothing about the ride yet, but Now we finally got up there and watched the little video, and I was squealing so loud, people were looking at me like, what is wrong with this kid? I think Dad may have had to apologize once or twice. And so we finally get into the ride, and I was just barely tall enough. My feet were like almost dangling over the edge of the seat. And the ride starts up, and I loved it. It was a little bit scary for me because I was easily scared at that point. I thought for a minute I was going to fall right out of my seat because, like I said, I barely reached the height requirement. And so we rode it, and we got off. I was kind of shaking. I was like huge information overload. My dad's like, "You okay?" And after I'd recovered from it, I'm pretty sure I said, "Let's ride that again." And they were like, "No, let's go for some other rides. We can't just ride Star Tours all day." I'm like, "Ah." And of course, it exited through the Star Trader, which at that point there was still an arcade in there. Oh, it's the Starcade and the Star Trader. I don't know if they were one and the same, but it was a long time ago. That was the very first time I rode Star Tours. I probably would have ridden that thing constantly. It was a little bit sad riding it for the last time in 2011. I went with with a friend of mine, and knowing it was the last time I would see Captain Rex, oh my gosh! I wonder, is that a nod to the original Star Tours, Captain Rex? Because Rex is the name of the pilot who flies the original Starspeeder 3000. And, wow, okay, I just realized that, oh my gosh. To this day, the last time I rode Star Tours was the updated version and with the different scenarios in the 3D. I'm not a fan of the 3D because my eyes are too sensitive for contacts and I can't afford them anyway. And putting 3D glasses over regular glasses is so stinking clunky. So, no, I'm not a fan of the 3D, but the actual ride, lots of fun. It's still my favorite ride at Disneyland. I am really looking forward to seeing what Galaxy's Edge has in store, especially the thing with the Falcon. Who knows when I'm going to be able to see that. That's, the nearest park is over 700 miles away. And with admission the way it is these days, I don't know if I'm ever going back to Disneyland, but that's okay. I've got the memories, and I've got video, and I've got pictures, and that's what counts. So, that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video and you want to see more G-rated Star Wars content, go ahead and click that little subscription button down below. Question of the day. Of you guys watching, who has ridden Star Tours, the original Star Tours, and do you remember how you felt the first time you rode it? Go ahead and post a comment. So, I will see everybody on Monday. Hope everybody has a good weekend, and until then, God bless, and may the Force be with you. Bye, guys.